Now, DSLR Controller is an Android-only app that allows you to remote control your Canon DSLR via its mini USB input from any Android-capable device. It's an insanely great tool for all you lone gunmen and women out there who have to do everything by themselves. Unfortunately, as of now, the time that this video hits YouTube, the SL2 here isn't on the list of compatible camera models. Then again, I thought to myself, it's a DSLR, it's called DSLR Controller, so I might as well test how well these two work together. So here's what DSLR Controller and the Canon SL2 can and cannot do. Let's first go over the features that, at least until this point in time, don't work. So currently I'm in movie manual mode, and here's the first little bug that I want to tell you about. Sometimes the icons don't look as they're supposed to look. Check out the bottom of the screen right there where it says ISO ?1. No worries, just tap it once and specifically select an ISO value. And you're good to go. Second little problem, although we're in movie mode, the flash is still available as an option. Check out this icon right here. Now, you're not gonna need a flash while shooting movies, but should you still, by mistake, tap that little icon, all you're gonna get is a freeze frame. Just tap one option and wait a couple of seconds until you should be back in live view. Third little problem, if you check out the top right corner right here where it says M, this is the icon that you use to change the shooting mode. Unfortunately, you cannot change the shooting mode from within the camera app, because if you try to do that, unfortunately, all you're getting is a black screen. Don't worry, you didn't break anything, just tap it once more. And after a couple of freeze frames, you're back in live view. Fourth little problem, playback in movie mode doesn't work. Let's record a little 5-second clip to show you what I mean. As you can see, the record function does work. Would be quite the bummer if that one didn't, huh? Let's try and play it back with the icon right here in the corner. And as you can see, unfortunately it says no files found. Current location, camera. This simply means you're gonna have to play back your video clips in camera. Fifth little problem, if you're in manual mode and you manually want to set the values for shutter speed, f-stop and ISO, you might see a discrepancy between the values on the live view of the camera and the values displayed within the DSLR controller dashboard. What I'm saying is they might not match up. So what you have to do is select a couple of values from within DSLR controller for the f-stop, the ISO and the shutter speed. And once you've done that, you will immediately realize when camera and DSLR controller are synced, because all the changes you do within the DSLR controller dashboard will immediately be reflected on the live view of the dashboard and the live view of the camera. So just go into the shutter speed and select a couple of values. Do the same thing with the f-stop and the ISO. Two more things on this problem. If you by mistake try to change the shooting mode from within DSLR controller, you might have to sync the settings again. And of course, if you start the app for the first time or re-enter the app, it's a very good idea to first sync your settings. Alright, the next problem can be a lethal one because it involves autofocus operation. Above the autofocus mode option, you can see AFS. And if you know your way around these settings, usually that suggests that it is autofocus single. But in case of DSLR controller in use with the Canon SL2, actually AFS up here is continuous autofocus. So check this out. So we can also go to autofocus, which you probably would see as being continuous autofocus. But as you can see, it is actually not. With the Canon SL2 and DSLR controller, AF is single focusing, whereas AFS is the continuous autofocus. Oh yeah, one more very important thing about this. If you have selected AFS up here and you hit the record button, it's gonna switch back to AF. Don't worry, you still have continuous autofocus. Now all the other problems before this one I'm going to show you now have one thing in common. You can still take care of them while the setup is running. But if you do what I'm about to do, you're gonna crash the whole thing. So listen up now. Never ever try to take a still in video mode. Are you ready? So all you're getting is this freeze frame that says capturing. You just killed the whole setup. So if you have no time on your hands, your best option now is to redo the whole thing. Unplug the cables, turn off the Android device, turn off the camera, replug the cables, turn on the Android device, turn on the camera, sync your settings, check everything. Or should you do have some time on your hands, you can choose to pretty much wait an undefined period of time until this message shows up. DSLR controller isn't responding. Now you can try and close the app and try to restart it, which usually doesn't work the first time. So let's try. And as you can see, didn't do anything. So let's try again. And there we are back in live view. So once again, never ever try to take a still in video mode. Okay, now that we've taken a look at the little bugs, what to watch out for and what to never ever do, let's check out some positive things. All the features that actually do work. And to start us off, I have to go into Movie Program Auto. Now up here is autofocus operation. You can change that, we've already been through that. This is AF, which actually is autofocus single focusing. So to focus, tap once, tap twice, and you're good. You can also use manual focus. And of course, autofocus single or AFS, which really with the SL2 is continuous autofocus. Autofocus modes. This is the smooth zone autofocus, tap, hold, and place wherever you want focus to be. Works the same with the live view autofocus. Picture styles. All of them work just fine. Let's stay with standard. Auto white balance, no problem at all. Playback mode, we already know that doesn't work. Let's check out exposure compensation. ±3 stops, which is a camera limit. So let's go to -1. Works. Let's go to +1. Also works. Overlays, right there. We got luminance histogram and RGB histogram. Magnification doesn't work. Overlays, my favorite 3x3. All the others work as well. Here's some aspect ratio simulations. CinemaScope, big screen feel. Also this stuff and an electronic level. Auto lighting optimizer also works with the different levels. Flash mode, we've already been over that. Then of course, the record button works. And then definitely not trying to take a still in video mode. Let's switch to manual movie mode. Just checking out the settings. Syncing. And now they are all working. So let's check out photo mode. Now the first thing you're gonna notice, no live view on the camera in photo mode. Would have been pretty cool if that was a possibility, but it isn't. Now all the features I showed you that worked in the video modes also work in photo mode. So I'm just gonna go over the ones that are specific to photo mode. Very important, in photo mode, no continuous autofocus, just manual focus and autofocus single. So if you want the camera to focus, tap once, tap twice. Next thing, specific to photo mode, metering modes. What we're in currently is called center weight metering. Let's switch to evaluative. Go to partial. Spot metering. That didn't do a lot. And back to center weight metering. Let's come back here. Tap to focus. And we're good. Now picture styles. No problem. They work just fine. Now, drive modes. Let's see if burst shooting works. Tap to start, tap to stop. Nice! And that actually works quite well. As soon as burst shooting has finished, DSLR controller is gonna grab thumbnails of the images for you to select one. And if you want to take a look at a specific image, it will grab that whole image and you can check it out on your Android screen. Let's check out the timer function, 2 seconds. And that also worked. You're not getting a visual timer though. For the time being, let's switch back to single shooting. Auto white balance, no problem. Playback, as we've seen, also works, which is super useful. Now let's check out exposure compensation. Once again, -3 and +3 stops. Works. Bracketing settings, up to 2 stops in each direction. Now flash compensation, I don't have a flash installed, so unfortunately I can't tell you whether this works or not. Overlays, luminance histogram, RGB histogram. Oh, and check this out, magnification. So, wow, 10x. Glad I cleaned my ears. So maybe this only works with the autofocus modes. In face tracking, no magnification, but with smooth zone autofocus and live zone autofocus, you have the magnification, up to a 10x. It's a pretty cool feature to check focus. Now overlays, squares grid, aspect ratios, squeeze, level, all of them work. Auto lighting optimizer works as well. This time obviously flash, turning it on, turning it off, works like a breeze. And of course you can take a photo. Now you can select an ISO value, but of course it doesn't do anything because the way to compensate for the exposure is with this setting right here. Let's check out manual photo mode. Just making sure I'm in focus. Obviously a lot more settings for shutter speed, from 1/4000th of a second all the way to bulb shooting. Let's sync the settings. Oh, let's go to 1/50th and maybe an ISO of 200. Okay, so manual settings also work. Let's start wrapping up this video. So now you know what works and what doesn't. Still, here's a quick little 3-point checklist for you to keep in mind. Number 1, if you want continuous autofocus in video mode, use AFS, not AF. In this combination, SL2 with DSLR controller, the settings are switched. Number 2, if you're using manual settings, make sure to sync them every time you start the app or have changed shooting modes. And number 3, don't you ever try to take a freaking still in video mode. And now, to give you a precise idea of how this setup works on the hardware side, here's a quick overview. Now the first thing you'll need, obviously, is an Android capable device, tablet, smartphone, phablet, whatever. But it needs to have DSLR controller installed. Second thing is what's called an on-the-go cable. And depending on your device, this connector is either a micro USB, like in this case, or a USB-C connector, with the other end being a standard USB-A female connector. This on-the-go cable connects to the Android device. Next is a standard USB cable for studio work, the longer the better, going from a mini USB to a standard USB-A male connector. This one right here connects to the on-the-go cable. The other one, of course, then connects to the camera. Now in case of the SL2, the mini USB connector is on the right side and on the bottom. And if the camera is already turned on, all you have to do is plug in the cable, come back to your Android device and select DSLR controller. No thanks. And you're golden. So, if you liked the video, if you found it helpful, please make sure to leave a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. Any kind of comment or feedback is welcome, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. As always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.